Hillary Clinton also said yesterday that Donald Trump is stoking racial resentment and his views align with the so-called alternative right movement. The Southern Poverty Law Center describes the alt-right as far-right groups, individuals, or ideologies with a core belief that white identity is under attack. Its believers reject establishment conservatism. Trump says calling his supporters racist is a tired, disgusting argument.
His new campaign CEO, Steve Bannon, was the chairman of Breitbart News. Bannon calls it a platform for the alt-right and reportedly denies the movement is inherently racist. A profile last year in Bloomberg Businessweek called Bannon, quote, the most dangerous political operative in America. The author, Joshua Green, is with us from Washington. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning.
What did you learn about him?
Well, Bannon is a curious and colorful figure. He's an ex-Goldman Sachs banker who moved out to Hollywood and began making documentary movies. He made one about Sarah Palin, which brought him into the Tea Party movement. That led him to Breitbart News, which he took over when the site's founder died a few years ago.
So does Clinton have a case here when she connects the dots between this movement and the Trump campaign?
Yeah, she really does. Bannon has described Breitbart News as a platform for the alt-right. If you look at the members of the alt-right, they've been behind Trump's candidacy from the very outset. And even though Bannon is an electoral novice, it's not entirely surprising that he would wind up as part of the Trump campaign.
Joshua, alt-right is a new term to an awful lot of people. How would, there's a pretty big umbrella here. How would you describe exactly what it is?
Well, the alt-right is a group of loosely aligned Confederates, I'd call them, who share certain things in common. There's no one fixed definition, but it can include everything from 20-year-olds who are racist or anti-Semitic on Twitter in order to get a rise out of people to actual white supremacists and neo-Nazis. But what unites them is a sort of a shared hostility to immigration, to multiculturalism, to women, and over the last year or so, support for Donald Trump as a presidential candidate.
At one point in her speech, Hillary Clinton actually read a few of the headlines from Breitbart, and let me read them back to you, like this one. Birth control makes women unattractive and crazy, and hoisted high and proud, the Confederate flag proclaims a glorious heritage. From your reporting on Steve Bannon, does he associate with this kind of ideology?
I don't know that he associates with it. He certainly publishes it. But what Bannon does and what a lot of the alt-right people do is intentionally offend in order to get a rise out of people. So you see these screaming headlines. You see bullying attacks often on social media. The alt-right went after Leslie Jones, the Ghostbuster actress, drove her off of Twitter. So part of the alt-right ethos is a belief that the Republican Party has been too weak, has been taken over by globalists, and it's really a sort of a revolution from underneath that's seeking to change American politics and to change the Republican Party.
I think one of the most fascinating parts of your article, too, which was a year ago before he joined the Trump campaign, was how Steve Bannon gets damaging stories about the Clintons or others into the mainstream media. How does that work?
Well, what led me to Bannon originally was he had a really interesting critique of why conservatives failed to stop the Clintons in the 1990s. And Bannon's argument was that conservatives back then essentially went off the deep end, chasing rumor and innuendo, and turned off mainstream voters and the mainstream media. So Bannon's approach now was to essentially look at facts that could be damning to the Clintons, and those included donors to the Clinton Foundation. It included the secret paid speeches that Clinton gave to Goldman Sachs and to other banks. And he helped fund and run a think tank that produced the book Clinton Cash last year, the surprise bestseller that I think helped drive up Clinton's negative numbers. Part of what Bannon is trying to do in the Trump campaign is to get Trump to focus on these attacks on Clinton, which he believes, rightly I think, are probably the best way to damage her candidacy.
Okay, but so then isn't calling her a bigot then a distraction from what may be real questions about the Clinton Foundation, the emails, other issues?
Yeah, I think it is. And one of the problems I think Trump has had as a candidate is that he is very easily distracted by whatever issue floats into the news. He tends to be unable to stop himself from responding to attacks. So he hasn't really been able to focus on this narrow anti-Clinton message that a lot of his campaign staffers would like him to.
Joshua Green, thanks very much for being with us this morning.